Good evening and a warm welcome to GRTS. This is the news file coming to you live from our studios on MDI Road. In our top stories, African leaders have called for concerted efforts to defeat terrorism and prevent unconstitutional changes of government on the continent. The Minister of Transport, Works and Infrastructure continues his familiarization tour in the Upper River region. The Gambia Police Force arrests 6 people for alleged violation of national tobacco control laws.
Also coming up, the Minister of Lands and Religious Affairs continues his visit to local government authorities in the Central and Upper River regions. Elsewhere around the world, find out how Ethiopia has earned $458 million from mining in 9 months. Well, these and much more coming ahead in this bulletin with me, Fatu Elika Mulushi, and
I am Momodou Njai.
You stay with us.
We start off with some presidential matters. President Adama Barrow joins African leaders calling for concerted efforts to defeat terrorism and prevent unconstitutional changes of government on the continent. This as leaders convene in Equatorial Guinea for an extraordinary summit of the Authority of Heads of State and Government of the African Union. Well, that story by Momodou Jalsa will come in our 10 p.m. news bulletin.
And now the Minister of Transport, Works and Infrastructure continues his familiarization tour in the Upper River region to assess the ministry's plan to erect bridge tolls at strategic points. The region is one of the major beneficiaries of massive infrastructural developments being implemented by the Barrow administration. Aminata Isanyang is covering the familiarization tour, and she files in this report.
After a successful tour in the North Bank region, Works and Transport Minister crossed to the Upper River region to monitor ongoing major projects on the implementation. URR is one of the biggest regions where government have massive infrastructural developments. Before he commenced his various engagements, Minister Silla had a meeting with the governor of the Upper River region, Sambaba, the chiefs, alcalis, and all the community leaders of URR. Various infrastructural matters were tabled as the community leaders praised the Barrow administration for the massive development. From the governor's office, Minister Silla visited the magnificent Basse Market, which was launched recently after the old market was razed to ashes by calamitous flames. Ibrahim Silla emphasized on the need to maintain a hygienic environment.
On my part, what I would want to say is to actually thank the market committee, the governor, the stakeholder, the alcalolo for the initiative they have taken so far to start the allocation of the stalls. However, we want to appeal to both the governor's office and the area council to step up the cleansing exercise of the market, because the market has just started allocating stalls about 2 weeks ago. Yeah. And the level of that we have seen and the way the place is kept, I think there is a lot that has to be done in terms of improving on that, because this is a very imposing edifice.
Women vendors expressed concern over stall allocations. Most of them, they said, are still not allocated stalls. Plans are on the way to construct tolls at the Fatota Bridge, Sambajuma amongst others.
So what we have been looking at since in the morning is, of course, the proposed locations of some of these toll booths. Temporarily, we want to bring in the makeshift booths from the Trans-Gambia. Now that collection has moved to the main toll facilities. In the meantime, whilst we construct permanent structures for this purpose. So these are the locations we've been looking at, both in Fatoto and in Basse. So where we're standing here behind us, this is the exact location where we want to put it, so that, of course, fees can be collected, of course, from people who ply these roads. The information we got, I think it's just for vehicles, not for donkey carts or, of course, motorcycles for now.
Erecting tolls at various bridges will serve as economic engine to the transportation system. According to officials, it would not require a lot of time to erect the tolls, as government moves to promote efficient and effective transportation systems. Aminat E. Sanyang, GRTS.
Staff was back to our earlier mentioned story on His Excellency President Adam Barrow, where he joined African leaders calling for concerted efforts to defeat terrorism and prevent unconstitutional changes of government on the continent. This as leaders convene in Equatorial Guinea for an extraordinary summit of the authority of heads of state and government of the African Union. Our Presidential Affairs correspondent Mamadou Jalsa sent in this report from Malabo, Equatorial Guinea.
Day 2 of the African Union Extraordinary Summit on Terrorism and Unconstitutional Changes of Government closed in the Equatorial Guinean capital, Malabo. Leaders unanimously backed calls to intensify the fight against terrorism and insecurity perpetrated by groups such as Boko Haram, Al-Shabaab, ISIS, and others who continue to wreak havoc on governments and innocent civilians. The summit comes against the backdrop of rising attacks by terrorist groups in several African countries, which has resulted in thousands of deaths and spreading instability.
Terrorism remains a significant global threat, affecting the lives and well-being of millions of people. This threat has been felt particularly in the 5 regions of Africa, where terrorist activities have regrettably increased. According to the 2022 Global Terrorism Index, approximately half of all deaths attributed to terrorism globally last year were recorded in the continent.
The leaders also frowned on unconstitutional changes of governments, particularly with the proliferation of military coups and removing term limits. The summit host, President Obiang Mbasogo of Equatorial Guinea, said his country condemns all forms of terrorist activities, whilst urging leaders not to recognize any unconstitutional change of government on the continent. The Angolan President, João Lourenço Gonçalves, said the summit must come with a clear consensus on how to fight terrorism and unconstitutional changes of government, in light of the numerous challenges the continent faces. The chairman of the AU Commission, Musa Faki Mahamad, said leaders must have the political will to meet their commitments in the fight against terrorism, commending the joint efforts of sub-regional organizations aimed at defeating terrorist groups in the Sahel, East and Central Africa. He, however, urged leaders to tackle the root causes of coup d'etats, which are usually caused by changes to the constitution, which removes term limits.
The relevance of the correlation between terrorism and unconstitutional changes of government, as both phenomena, in fact, feed on each other, with the causes which provide the necessary and appropriate terrain for military coup d'etat and also the terrorist attacks on our continent.
In order to end the cycle of military coups, the African Union Commission chairman called for sanctions to isolate military regimes. The leaders are expected to issue a communique outlining the African Union's commitment and resolve to tackle 2 of the most serious challenges confronting the continent.
Nice to meet you. Thank you so much for giving me.
Meanwhile, the President, His Excellency Adam Barrow, received in audience the Director General of the International Organization for Migration, Antonio Vitorino, on the sidelines of the summit. After closed-door talks, the IOM boss praised the level of partnership between his agency and the Gambia, describing the talks as very constructive and positive.
We, IOM, we are present in the Gambia and we have a very close cooperation with the government. Gambia is a native country in the international migration, and we cooperate in order to guarantee that safe, orderly, and regular migration is the rule in the world, including in the region. So I want to express my thanks for the very good partnership that we have with the Gambia.
The IOM Director General also assured that the agency will continue to partner with government and provide support to the Gambia. Mamadou Jallo, GRTS News.
Now, staff of the Gambia High Commission in London met with Gambian delegates from the Ministry of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology at the Commission's Chancery yesterday. The delegation, headed by the Permanent Secretary Mod Eseka, is in London to attend the World Education Forum.
Moving on, the Pakistani community in the Gambia has celebrated Pakistani Yom Takbir Day. The day is being observed today with national zeal to commemorate the historic nuclear test in Shari in May 1998, or 28 May rather, 1998. For more on the significance of the day, we are joined by Professor Atif Amin Al-Husseini of the Pakistani community in the Gambia. Welcome to GRTS News File, Professor.
Thank you, sir.
Now, Professor, how important is this particular event for the Pakistani community?
Allahumma salli ala Muhammad wa ala ali Muhammad. Let me tell you one thing, that this is not only the historical day for Pakistan but also for all Islamic countries, 57 Islamic countries all around the world. That this is the Pakistan one and only nuclear power in all Islamic country who test successfully the nuclear missile in 28 May 1998. And let me tell you the brief history. And the program is started by our one of very great leader, Zulfikar Ali Bhutto, former President and Prime Minister of Pakistan. He is the one who started this program. And the completed by our one of former Prime Minister, Mia Muhammad Nawaz Sharif, in 28 May 1998. The main focal person who provide the key focal person as a scientist is Dr. Abdul Qadir Khan. He is the one who play as a role as a scientist, as a one of our national hero. And the thing, this is not only the defense and the Yom Takbir Day for Pakistan, but all around the Islamic countries. And till today, Alhamdulillah, Pakistan have very key and very nice relationship with the Gambia. And especially I want to say thanks His Excellency President Adma Barrow. I want to say thanks His Excellency IT Minister who paid courtesy visit in last year to Pakistan.
Good. I was coming to that. You know, Pakistanis in the Gambia. Talk to us about the plight of the Pakistani community in this country.
Pride.
The plight, you know, they stay in the country.
Yes. You
and
know,
the relationship with Gambians.
Yeah, you know, Pakistan and Gambia, Alhamdulillah, since your new government, we have very prompt and nice relationship, very dynamic relationship since, Alhamdulillah, many more ministers, especially we just in this year, 2022, in March, the minister, His Excellency Health Minister visit Pakistan and sign MOU for the treatment of eyes. Then later on, Ministry of Justice and Ministry of Foreign Affairs visit Pakistan. Before it, in 2021, His Excellency IT Minister Ibrahim Asila visit Pakistan, sign one MOU to make the Greater Banjul with the smart city.
Okay.
Smart city. So hope so. Inshallah, in the future, its relationship goes more better. Inshallah. And you know, we are two brother Islamic countries.
Exactly.
Yeah. So we feel our Gambia is our second hometown. Alhamdulillah.
Malaysia? Quite important then.
Yeah, just to once again just congratulate them and all the best, Prof. Thank you so much for coming through.
No problem. And in the last, I just want to say one thing that we want Pakistani government and Pakistani people want to see His Excellency Atma Barrow in Pakistan as soon as possible.
Wow.
And through GRTS, is my message to His Excellency President that as soon as possible, we want to see you in Pakistan.
We want to see you in Pakistan on News File GRTS on 28 May 2022.
Yeah, and in last, and I want to say, long live Gambia, long live Pakistan.
Thank you very much. I'm sure, Professor, we will have you in our subsequent GRTS programs. There are more to discuss, on the relationship between Pakistan
Inshallah.
and the Gambia,
Inshallah.
such as bilateral and multilateral
Inshallah,
issues.
sir.
So thank you very much. Hope to see you in our subsequent
Welcome,
program.
sir.
Thank
Inshallah,
you.
sir. Thank you, sir.
And that was Professor Atif Amin Al Hussein there talking to us on the Yawmi Takbir Day there in Pakistan. Well, the Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology, Professor Pierre Gomez, has called on Gambians to embrace TVET education. Minister Gomez made these remarks during the familiarization tour to institutions under his purview in the West Coast region and Lower River region. Here's an excerpt.
The message is telling Gambians not to see TVET as a secondary option, that it should be the first option. I said Finland, Germany was not developed because of other stuff, but they use TVET. So if you want to develop too, like Germany and Finland, and like Korea, we need to use TVET. That's number one. Number two, we are bringing TVET centers to the doorsteps of Gambian people. That's the roadmap. Each region will have TVET centers. Gambians should not leave the provinces to come all the way to Banjul to be able to get education. Education must be democratized, and the government, under the leadership of His Excellency Adama Barrow, tasked us to make sure that within a limited period we produce results, and that's what we are doing. And as I said, we will be going to CRR, to North Bank, also to URR, and we will be also coming up with some TVET centers for the youths of this country. They need to be engaged. For the stability of this nation, for the peace of this nation, the youths will be given the skills so that we address the employability issue that we are facing. The message is
Professor Pierre Gomez, the Minister of Higher Education, Research, Science and Technology. The Gambia Police Force has arrested 6 people earlier today for alleged violation of national tobacco control laws. The arrests were made during an ongoing patrol in the Greater Banjul area meant to enforce the Gambia Tobacco Act 2016. Ibrahim Jalsa was with the patrol team, which includes public health officers. This is an excerpt, or report rather.
The 6 individuals were found wanting by public health officers and the police. 5 of them were alleged to have been either selling tobacco per stick retail or displayed the products in their shops, while one young man was caught for smoking in public, contrary to the laws governing tobacco trade and use in the country. The police and public health officers are on a routine search for defaulters of the country's tobacco laws, as contained in the National Tobacco Control Act 2016. The Act prohibits smoking in public places, workplaces, and in public transports. It also prohibits smoking within 100 meters of a public place. Meanwhile, the arrested persons are in police custody to be charged accordingly for legal actions. The patrol continues tonight. Ibrahim Jalsa, GRTS News.
Now, the Gambia Inclusive Resilience Agriculture Value Chain Project is a $40 million project funded by the World Bank. The project is expected to provide grants to over 500 smallholder farmers and 10 SMEs across the country. The project is under implementation by the CPCU under the Ministry of Agriculture. Its officials recently held a stakeholder engagement with regional authorities in the North Bank, from where our correspondent in the region, Farmer Akanyi, sent us this report.
The Gambia Inclusive Resilience Agriculture Value Chain Project, under implementation by the Central Project Coordinating Unit, held a stakeholder engagement with regional officials in Kerawan. The new project is expected to unleash support to many smallholder farmers and associations across the country, with the objective of improving food production, value addition and marketing. Lamin Sedikan, the governor of the North Bank region, called on smallholder farmers and SMEs across the region to take up the opportunity. He said the new project is part of government's efforts to support agricultural development in the country.
Our country is going in the right direction. Otherwise, we will not get anything. So for that, we have to thank His Excellency President Adama Barrow. And his government has put so much emphasis on how to empower women and youths. And this matching grant is part of it. So now it's left to us, the youth and the women, to take this opportunity and use this grant wisely.
John Mendy, the North Bank Regional Agriculture Director, disclosed that the project is designed to promote food production, productivity, value addition, and marketing.
About 32 groups we are shortlisted. And presently, as we speak, there is a field survey that is going on, field verification that is actually going on to confirm what has been, in the papers, whether it is actually on the ground. So this is currently going on. At the end of the day, we will come up with a number of qualified, groups that will benefit from these gardens.
Lamin Tarawale is the merchant grant manager at the Giraffe project. He said the project has two components, one of which is targeting value addition on 5 agricultural commodities in the country, with a grant of $500,000 for 500 smallholder farmers across the country.
And again, as a part of counterpart contribution, this time around, it's not to say that you are asking for the farmer to either go and negotiate with a commercial bank or a microfinance scheme to negotiate to have the counterpart contribution. But this time we said no, the Giraffe is saying no, that this time when you are successful in all the stages, then the project team will now support you and negotiate with the microfinance scheme or the banks to give you those opportunities to have your counterpart contribution.
The project is also expected to provide grants worth over $25 million, targeting 10 small and medium enterprises across the country. For the news, I am Famara Kani.
You're watching GRTS News File. A quick look at our top stories. African leaders have called for concerted efforts to defeat terrorism and to prevent unconstitutional changes of government on the continent. The Minister of Transport, Works and Infrastructure continues his familiarization tour in the Upper River region. The Gambia Police Force arrests 6 people for alleged violation of national tobacco control laws.
The Minister of Lands and Religious Affairs continues his visit to local government authorities in the Central and the Upper River regions. Elsewhere around the world, find out how Ethiopia has earned $458 million from mining in 9 months.
That's quite a lot, yeah?
Quite a lot. That's a killion amount.
Yeah, indeed.
We'll take a quick break. The news continues momentarily. Do stay with us.
Hello, Sister Nya here, and today we are doing the unboxing of the AfriCell 4G LTE CPE router. Have you gotten yours yet? Here it is. Alright, now let's unboxing of the AfriCell 4G CPE router. I do love the sound of opening new stuff. And this right here is a beauty. What you don't know is it also takes you for an extra 6 hours of charge when there's no power. No power, no problem. Get your CPE routers now at your nearest AfriCell outlet and thank me later.
sama xaalis bi ma yoroon yëpp réer na.
war naa nga bàyyi di doxe xaalis si mbedd.
dama bëgg a ubbi ak xawoon ngir yàlla di fa denc li ma am dinaa torox.
demal Banjul Gampoos. am nañ service bu ñoo wax postcard. ñoo laa jox visa card bi. loot ci lu la neex. ATM boo dem dugal li nga soxla ci amam la lay.
mën naa am visa card bi di ci loot suma xaalis di ci fajal suma soxla.
maa lay jox beneen service bi daal mooy express mail. service bi ñoo wax EMS. foo munti ne ci àdduna bi ñu yónnee la bagage. ni jaay wala. bagage bi su jógee ci yow ba moo eggee ca bor dëkk bu mu toll danañ la seen email ne la mu fa
Gàmpoos maa leen bëgg léegi nag kon xaalis daal yónnee ko wala ay bagage yónnee ko wala jot xaalis daal Gàmpoos a ci gën a gaaw
am nañ bu ñuy wax cash power and mobile airtime maanaam moo doon GSM compagnie bu ne ci réew mi crédit demal ne leen crédit nangam laa soxla net bu bëgg ñu jaay la crédit gam te gis nga cash power bañ lay jaay teguñ ci dërëm caajuñ la dara
cash power
maa la wax lii bi si gën a neex mooy jëlee sa xaalis bi tey nga bëgg a seen nit Farafenni seen ko léegi ñëwal Gàmpoos dama bëgg a seen xaalis Farafenni du mut 5 minutes borom kol ne la jot naa xaalis bi
réew mi foo ci mën a yónnee xaalis
yëpp ci réewum Gambie
mooy post money
transfert ñu naan ko PMT
di nga ci jot ci nu mu gën a gaawee
fépp fu ñu am branche fi ci réew mi demal ne leen dama bëgg seen xaalis parce que wala Farafenni wala ban sax service baa nga tudde saving bank saa yoo eggee ubbi fa account loo denc nag bu ko tëddee kër am fa account mooy li lay noppal Gàmpoos yàgg fi nag maa la wax lii
tey Gàmpoos lépp a ngi ci biir li saakat bi
Welcome back. The Amir of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat in the Gambia, Baba F. Trawale, on Friday presided over the 44th Jalsa Salana at Olyundum, West Coast region. The annual convergence brought together over 2,000 Ahmadiyya faithfuls in the Gambia to discuss religious issues geared towards promoting peace and social cohesion in society. Majan Baro has the rest of that story.
Salana is the formal annual gathering of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community. Usually, the gathering spans over 3 days, beginning on Friday after the Friday sermon. The ceremony began with a solemn hosting of a flag. The annual convention enables Ahmadi Muslims to moral advancement, social cohesion, and most importantly, increasing personal relationship with God. The Amir of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, the Gambia, Baba F. Trawale, spoke at length on the need to nurture and promote peace in the world, whilst denouncing the use of nuclear weapons against nations. He called on people to observe Islamic teachings, love for one another, and abstain from doing evil. He noted that the annual convention could not take place for 2 years in the Gambia due to COVID-19 outbreak.
May Allah bless your Jalsa Salana with great success and enable all of you to be enlightened spiritually so that your faith is strengthened and reinforced. May Allah enable you to bring about a real transformation in your lives towards more piety, virtuous behavior, good deeds, and the service of Islam, Ahmadiyya.
The Deputy Speaker of the National Assembly, Sidi Njai, hailed the efforts of the Ahmadiyya Muslim community in complementing government's effort in national development.
The Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat in the Gambia and worldwide for that matter has impacted positively in the life and livelihood of Gambians in the area of education by building and constructing schools such as the Nusrat Senior Secondary School, where I graduated.
The National Assembly member for Baribu Central, Suleiman Saho, thanked the Amir for his exemplary leadership whilst describing the members of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat as peaceful and caring.
Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat in my constituency, Central Baribu, played an important role in unifying people and more so contributing to the political development of Central Baribu. So it will not be fair to stand here without saying thank you to the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat of Central Baribu.
The 3-day convergence of the 44th Jalsa Salana in the Gambia begins on Friday with a solemn flag hoisting ceremony, speeches on spiritual and moral concepts, and the performance of 5 daily prayers in congregational, amongst others. The principal aims of the annual convention are to facilitate greater spiritual awareness among community members, strengthen ties, and promote peace. Majan Baro for GRTS News.
Well, hundreds of people gathered in Bundung for the annual Ahmadiyya Muslim community's Jalsa Salana in the Gambia. The annual event celebrates the universal call for peace, humanity, and traditions of the Holy Prophet, peace be upon him, in a major effort to expand the message of Islam. Now, let's bring in Imam Usman Bah for more on the three-day event there. Mr. Bah, thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Now, we do know that the Jalsa is a moment of inspiring addresses. Tell us the subjects dominating this year's congregation.
Yeah, thank you very much. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Allahumma salli ala Muhammadin wa ala ali Muhammadin wa barik wa sallim innaka Hamidum Majid. So I'm very much happy to be with you, my dear sister and my dear brother. I'm very happy to, of course, present to you the purpose and the reasons why the Jalsa is being conducted. This Jalsa actually was started solely and purposely for religious training. The founder of the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat, in his writings, said that the purpose of the Jalsa perhaps threesome up to 4 reasons. Number 1 is for religious training. And number 2 is to unite the people, bring them together, foster love, unity amongst different nations, different nationalities, and of course, different ethnic groups. The Jalsa is not a political gathering. It's not also any other. It's not like any other worldly gathering, but it's purposely religious. So people go there to enhance their religious knowledge. They listen to different speeches delivered by scholars who dwell on different subjects. Usually, topics that are we call burning topics, topics that affect our daily life, especially the ones that are going on currently within the nation where the Jalsa is being conducted, or some topics that affects the people in general, whether Muslims or non-Muslims. But primarily is to train the people to know their religion, to know their God, and bring them closer to their God. Also foster love and unity among different people, especially members of the Islamic society.
Now, that said, we also know that it's a moment you use to preach tolerance and the power of peace as a foundation for global sustainability. Tell us, why are these pillars so important in our development?
It's because the purpose of religion, especially Islam, which means peace between the individual and his creator, and peace between the individual and his fellow human beings. So without tolerance, peaceful coexistence, then religion cannot be practiced. So to bring man closer to God will make him presentable, will make him a tolerant being, and will make him somebody who, of course, a beneficial person. He will be beneficial to himself, to society, and to religion in general, or to the world in general. So without peace, we can't go anywhere. That is why Islam itself means peace. So when you have peace, then everything is okay. Without peace, you can't move anywhere. So to come closer to God, you must be a peaceful person, and you, of course, must foster tolerance and togetherness. Then we forward.
Now, looking at the gathering there, you could realize that COVID-19 has greatly minimized such gatherings amid a global pandemic that still continues. Now, what's the message from faith leaders as we move towards recovery?
Yeah, that's absolutely true. Number 1 is we turn to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to pray so that He will accept our prayers and then help us, of course, protect us. This has been going on throughout since the break out of this pandemic. Religious leaders and, of course, the Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat is not left behind. We have been praying, offering charities and many other activities to help. We have also been advising people to abide by the rules and regulations set in place by the health authorities. And alhamdulillah, everything is going on and we're moving forward. We are very happy because for the last 2 years, we could not be able to conduct our Jalsa. So this year, we of course have limited the attendance. For example, we have said from each region, attendance would not be more than 50 people. So, well, of course, this is all done in keeping in mind with the pandemic, as we feel that is lessening, but still the how to call the guidelines that are put in place by the health authorities are being observed. And like Ahmadiyya Muslim Jamaat is a dynamic organization, not only preaches peace and tolerance, but of course we educate the people, we train the people to become useful citizens in different areas. So, but our primary weapon is to pray to our Lord so that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will help us.
Thank you very much, Imam Badeh, for talking to us here on Newsfile.
Now, the German Agency for International Cooperation, GIZ, on Friday wrapped up a 9-day training of 20 police officers of the Gambia Police Force in Bijilo. The training was aimed at promoting policing on investigation of sexual and gender-based violence. Majan Barrow has the details.
It's a joint German-EU support to the Gambia Police Force that seeks to equip GPF officers with knowledge and skills to carry out their duties professionally. According to the police advisor, GIZ Abdul Bojang, the training looks into the gender dynamics, investigation and interview techniques for police officers whilst hailing the German trainers as experts.
We had 20 participants from the police force, majority of whom were female officers. We will be doing another training this next month in June, from the 25th, I believe, to the 1st of July. We will be doing a training on community policing for community policing coordinators of the Gambia Police Force to enhance their knowledge on the philosophy of community policing as an approach in democratic policing, and also how to ensure the members of the communities have more confidence in the police.
Sexual and gender-based violence cases are prevalent in the Gambia, and reporting them is a problem most of the time. Participant Mary Civic, Assistant Superintendent, Gambia Police Force, said the lack of enough understanding of sexual and gender-based violence is a challenge they are facing as police officers, undermining police handling of prosecution cases at the courts.
This program have been training us on the dynamics of gender and sexual violence, the patterns of these cases, and also how to investigate such cases in order to have all the ingredients, all the evidence that are needed in order to bring about justice for the victims, and also for the perpetrators to be punished for the crimes that they have conducted. So we will go out there and implement the ideas, the knowledge that we have gathered here today, and also to teach officers who were not privileged to be part of this training.
The Police Program Africa, commissioned by the German Federation Foreign Office, co-funded by the European Union and implemented by GIZ, is committed to the training of the Gambia Police Force to enhance their skills to carry out their duties professionally. Majan Barrow, 4GRTS News.
A 3-day training for dozens of teachers and school administrators on civic education is underway in Mansakonko LRR. The event, organized by the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education in collaboration with the National Council for Civic Education, targets basic cycle and upper basic schools, teachers and administrators in LRR. The forum, as Usman Balde reports, is funded by UNICEF through its Peace Building Fund to promote peaceful coexistence among students, teachers and stakeholders.
To promote peaceful coexistence and respect for the rule of law by students and staff of various schools. Speaking at the forum, the head of the Life Skills Education Unit at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, Barasin, discussed the importance and components of the training.
On the United Nations Development Programs and UNICEF Support Program for the Gambia, on the National Development Program and the Route to Transition, came up with the peace building and civic education programs to help the Gambia transit to democracy. This is aimed at improving civic engagement of young people and the governance system to promote good governance based on participation, transparency, and accountability by strengthening their capacity and skills on civic rights and duties and citizenship and peace building. The aim of this output, to attain this, there is two indicators that the program is emphasizing. One of them is what we are doing here today. We are training teachers and school staff on civic education. This will help them and young people to understand their civic rights, to understand the laws of this country, institutions that are set in the country, and the systems that is to acquire skills to engage with institutions peacefully. we need to engage teachers to be able to understand what laws are here in the Gambia. What are institutions where they can seek redress when their rights are violated?
The Regional Education Director for Lower River Region, Mamadou G. Jallo, expressed delight over the introduction of civic education in the school curriculum. This, he said, will enable students contribute effectively to national development.
We at the Ministry of Basic and Secondary Education, we are cognizant as service delivery ministry that we are responsible of molding the young ones. And we are also very much alert and aware that, we need to give them holistic education. And the civic education is very, very key. We cannot deliver this civic education to the students without preparing you, the teachers, because you are going to lead the process. You are going to lead the blocks, and you have to lead proper blocks, the young ones.
Participant Nene G. Gomez from Tonya Taba Basic Cycle School said the training will help participants understand their civic rights and duties.
If you don't know your rights as a citizen, you can violate or tamper with somebody's right. And sometimes we take a privilege rather to be a right. But if you know your rights, you will know how to go about. And then this curriculum was part of the education curriculum delivery, but it was later removed. But now they have seen that it has a role. It's like causing some loopholes, so they thought it wise enough to bring it back to the system. That can help our students to be a better generation and a better Gambia tomorrow.
Officials discussed that a training on leadership and citizenship will soon be rolled out for students who are out of schools. This, they said, is expected to help them understand their civic rights and duties as well as prepare them for the transitions and adulthood. Usman Balde, GRTS News.
Now, the Minister of Lands and Religious Affairs continues his visit to local government authorities in the Central River region. And we're staying with the Lands Minister tour because a similar visit has been paid to local authorities in the Upper River region. Our correspondent there is Seydou Kamara, and he tells us more.
The Minister of Lands and Local Government, Sirif Abasanyang, continued his familiarization tour, accompanied by his ministry top officials. Chief Hameminta Krubali commended the new minister for what he described as a milestone achievement in the history of the country, as such important familiarization engagement been done by the new minister. Chief Krubali highlighted some of the challenges the chiefs are facing, such as the payment of batch messengers, which he added is not substantial enough, lack of good road linking Sabi Sabusere, Basa Kumbijam, and other areas within the region, and also the lack of adequate electricity supply in some communities.
Nanya minister nga lenki tel bebe chikiring a okusu jikeng ka foko nanti ko ya kol membe kan tumadabe bokan abobolan kande.
Speaking on behalf of the alcalols, Selubam held the minister for reaching out to the people and local authorities. He emphasized on the challenges highlighted by the chief, particularly the welfare of the batch messengers and issue of fertilizers for the farmers. Lady Councillor Jomfolo Jabi urged the minister to look into the issue of women land ownership and inheritance. Responding to issues raised during the meeting, the permanent secretary at the Ministry of Lands and Local Governments, Buba Sanya, noted the complexities associated with women lands ownership, while highlighting the ministry resolve to undertaking necessary efforts to ensure reforms in this area. He further noted that chiefs' badge messengers are directly under the services of any chief who is occupying a seat, adding that no chief has the power to sack a messenger without any genuine reasons. P.S. Sanya reminded the people, particularly those that build along the pass-by road, to ensure that the required space allowed is provided in order not to obstruct development along the site, and the physical planning will not compromise in demolishing those houses. Speaking at the meeting ground, the governor of the region, Sambaba, said the people, particularly farmers, should be cautious about land issues. As the rain season approaches, he called on the people to follow the due process in resolving land's problem in their communities. Governor Ba urged imams to use their Juma sermons to preach peace and unity in their various mosques, because without peace and unity, there cannot be any meaningful development in the country. He also appealed that as Basel being the second capital of the country, it is constructed to give the town a new facelift to make movement easy within its corridor. The new minister, Sharif Abastanyan, described the tour a success, as he said that the trip provided him the chance to interact with many people.
It's my responsibility, as been entrusted this responsibility by His Excellency the President. And his hope and aspirations are to meet my people, to meet the people of the Gambia, dialogue with them, know their people. Those things I will hear from the rural or the grassroots people is what is to advise policy and our programs. We need to understand that we are working for those people, and then taking up their opinion in our work matters a lot.
Responding to concern raised about the high cost of fertilizers, Minister Sanyang called for attitudinal change towards national development. He said Gambia can only develop by its own citizens, and that, he added, goes with responsibilities.
Last year, we've experienced that people were hoarding fertilizers in this country, transporting or buying fertilizers from communities and taking it across the border to sell it at prices they deem necessary for themselves. And the buying price in the Gambia at the time was $750, subsidized by government, almost 50%. And negligently, we would call it, they took it all out of the country. Today, we are in that trouble now. Are we having any reserve right or rights in any way to blame the government for that? No. And moreover, government is not manufacturing fertilizer. We are importing fertilizers, and the import cost, or people who are importing and supplying government, are there. So it's difficult to say, but actually, the price of 2,500, we'll go back to the drawing board, see if government would be able to help. But the fact of the matter is, the Gambian people need to respect and cherish whatever they have.
Minister Sanyang also called on the people to put away their political differences and join hands to take the country forward. He said the president always had the heart to accommodate everyone for the sake of development and unity, which is fundamental in any national development.
We are all Gambians, those living in Gambia and those living abroad. And the support is from all of us. We are all working to make sure we support our families. They are also working abroad to support their families and the Gambian people at large. So we all have that equal right to justice. I see it very unfair for anybody to try and dupe other people or parties unjustly. I don't believe it in justice. I don't. And everybody have a right across the board. If there is a government allocation, it's across the board for all Gambians.
The talk continues. Seydou Camara, reporting for Jalsa News from Basse Upper River region.
We will take a short break. News file continues momentarily. Moving on, Ethiopia has earned $458 million from mining in 9 months. CGTN has more on the report.
It's been a good year for Ethiopia's mining industry, as the country was able to produce close to 7,000 kilograms of gold during the first 9 months of the 2021-2022 fiscal year. According to the Ministry of Mines, production jumped by 12% when compared to the same period in the last fiscal year. In addition, Ethiopia was able to export slightly over 2,300 kilograms of jewelry minerals during the stated period. The performance during the period was said to be one of the best in the sector, despite the ongoing political and economic challenge. In recent years, Ethiopia has undertaken a mass sensitization campaign to combat contraband mining activities that have been partly blamed for the Eastern African nations underachieving in attaining its target mining revenues in previous years. Authorities here in Addis Ababa have made several key reforms in the mining sector in recent years to boost revenue from the industry. This includes the establishment of several gold trading centers, while at the same time reducing contraband mining trade. According to the Minister of Mines, Takela Uma, mining has huge potential in Ethiopia with capabilities to transform the lives of the majority in Africa's second most populous nation. Group Jalsa, Addis Ababa, Ethiopia.
Quite interesting one there.
Quite interesting.
But that's it for now. But a quick look at our top stories before we take leave of you. African leaders have called for concerted efforts to defeat terrorism and prevent unconstitutional changes of government on the continent. The Minister of Transport, Works and Infrastructure continues his familiarization tour in the Upper River region. The Gambia Police Force arrests 6 people for alleged violation of national tobacco control law.
The Minister of Lands and Religious Affairs continues his visit to local government authorities in the Central and Upper River regions respectively. Elsewhere around the world, find out how Ethiopia has earned more than $458 million from mining in 9 months. Well, Moloshi, that's it for this hour. Join Fatulika Moloshi at 2200 hours for more news and updates. Until then, thanks for the pleasure of your company and stay tuned to GRTS.
I'll see you then.